Hello, and welcome to Too Stupid to Live, a podcast that reviews romance novels $5 and under. I'm your host, Becky Feldman, and I am howling about today's episode because, yes, we are reviewing a werewolf romance. Today's book is Pack of Lies by Charlie Adhara, which, when I bought it, was $2.99. Has the price gone up since then? Yes. Is that price over $5? Yes. Is it twice as much? I don't know. Whatever. This podcast is called Too Stupid to Live, not I can do math fast. Anyway, I am so excited about today's guests. My lovely friends John Glover and Marisa Pinson are here. Marisa is a return guest. John is a new guest. But you may know them as the co-hosts of one of my favorite podcasts, On Brand. We had such a great time discussing this book, and boy, did they bring their special brand of on-brandiness to this episode. I don't know what I just said, but my point is this episode is so much fun. It will put a smile on your face. So please enjoy this review of Pack of Lies. Listen, okay, John, Marisa, okay. First of all, I am so excited you're on the show. Welcome. I am a huge brand freak, I would say.
Oh, wow. What an
Wow.
honor.
She knows the term.
Knows the term. I am in love with On Brand. It's been like my favorite new podcast. I listen to it all the time. I'm so impressed with like the level of research and like zeal you put into stuff that's like a sponge. It's like it's so fun.
That is
Thank
so nice
you.
of you to
That's
say.
so nice of you to say. It means a lot to us when we find out that people like learn things. It's been a balance of like how much do we tell them about ourselves? How much do we teach them about brands? And it's kind of fun figuring that out and getting that response. So thank you
And
very
it's
much.
born out of a genuine passion. So we're hoping that even if you're not quite as passionate about Uggs as maybe I am, or the Stanley Cup, or whatever, that you can feel our passion. And we like to leave the listener with like a few fun facts, that like when you're at the water cooler, people still work at places with water coolers.
I guess.
Not since COVID. I think COVID got rid of every water cooler in town.
Well,
But-
wherever people are convening, we like to leave people with some fun facts and some fun trivia to shed a little light on like things you interact with every day that maybe you didn't know the history behind. It's very fun for us. So thank you so much for saying that. That's very
Oh
nice.
my God. Not that I care about the Super Bowl, but my family was here for the weekend. We were watching the Super Bowl. I mentioned a Super Bowl fact from your podcast about how companies refer to it as the game.
Yeah, the
I
big
didn't know
game,
that
yeah.
either.
It got me so much leverage. Like I looked so smart.
Dude, I did not know that either. And ever since she brought up that fact, I see it everywhere. Like every
Yeah.
single place, they call it the big game.
The big game.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
That's what I love.
yeah.
I love people like taking those little nuggets away.
It's
And hopefully you'll
so
never
nice.
forget it. I hope it's the last thing you think about before you die.
It will be. It hands down will be. Because like, when you're in a conversation with someone and there's like a lull, and I don't like silences, it makes me uncomfortable, blah, blah, blah. Just knowing that you have a fact in your head to like pull out to just like start a conversation or get it going again is so nice.
We are full of those.
I'm a researcher by trade, and I have been for like 20 years for television shows and documentaries. And that's part of how this podcast came to be is I would always be like, God, I hate what I do, but I know that I do it well.
Right.
But now the podcast allows me to like research stuff that I like truly love. So like when I'm like in an episode and in a brand, like I find these little nuggets and I'm such a nerd. I'll be like, oh my God, they're going to love when they find out this little fact and like, what's the funnest way I can deliver it to them? And I don't know, it's such a nerdy passion.
No, I think it's first of all, we get to know you guys as well as people. I mean, I already know you guys, but like, as people, you talk about your childhood and this and that, which is like so enlightening. And then it made me realize like everyone is nerdy about we all are using some sort of brand in our life. So like you are going to do something that someone is passionate about, like regardless, like you're going to tap into it.
That's
what's brilliant about it. Yeah, like you'll eventually, like I was looking at, I can't believe we already have, like we just did our 39th episode and you just look at the list and it's like anyone can look at that list and find at least one thing that they'd be like, oh wow, I wouldn't mind learning a little bit about that, and
Oh,
that'll just
100%.
continue to grow. Yeah. So
There's
it's
very
kind of,
few people who like walk into a store, like let's say a clothing store, and you don't gravitate toward any brand or a grocery store, and you're just like completely neutral, like in the peanut butter aisle, like something like that with so many choices. We just kind of get programmed like what our picks are, what our favorites are. And I think it's very relatable and universal. But we kind of take it to this next level of like obsession where we like get chills like when we like learn something about the history, or like I'm often brought to tears by an 80s commercial.
well, the
You
funny
know.
thing is I'm so brand loyal, which for a second was what the show was called, because once I like a brand, like I will stick through it forever. And one of those brands early on was Heinz ketchup, and then she made me do like this stupid taste test, and I picked Hunt's, and that like turned my whole world upside down.
Wow.
Where it's
We've
like I
also
only eat
done
Heinz, and now I'm like, oh god, I'm a Hunt's boy, and everyone starts sending me like pictures of me like holding Hunt's bottles. So it's
That's
funny.
very sweet. But it's also
super fun.
like nice listening, because I want to ask you guys, do you consider yourselves brand experts? Because like listening to all of the episodes, like you're now, it feels like you both are now able to see like common occurrences with how brands are formed. You know what I mean? Like it's a movie starring Matt Damon, one, but like also it's like some sort of necessity, some sort of interesting backstory. Like, can you
It was
predict?
a young boy selling a fish on the street. If they were around during the war, they had to cut back on their rations. So what did that mean? Yeah, you do start to find like how did there are common occurrences that happened with every brand through certain times. How did this brand deal with it?
And it does seem like 150 years ago, there were only like, it seemed like 80 things. And so any new invention you had, like you're a billionaire today. Like if you invented the candle 100 years ago, like you are just like, you know what I mean? It's wild. That was really the time. I don't know if there's all the good inventions now are a rare foam. Like a scrub daddy is a rare foam, Crocs are a rare foam. So we're always trying to find the next big foam and then how it can be applied. That's kind of our mission, and then we can get out of the podcasting game.
Then we'll have a bunch of money, and then on brand, who cares? Then we'll just be living large.
You'll be living large. You just need to find the next candle, and then
will be it.
Golden.
Well, the funny thing about being a researcher is people are always like, oh, you must know this, you're a researcher. And the thing about being a researcher, I'm not Rain Man. I don't know everything. I just know how to find the information really well. So to answer your question about being brand experts, I do not consider myself a brand expert. I have a lot of knowledge of a lot of different brands. I just do, but I can get the information. Right. I can play expert for an hour.
And go to thewaybackmachine.com. That's John's favorite. God. So if there's a brand, I'll say if you're a listener and definitely check out our pod. But if there's a brand you're like, oh my God, I remember that. I love that brand. Go to the Wayback Machine, which is an archival database of every website that's ever existed. So you can go to like Bath and Body Works from like 1998 and see what that website looked like. And it's thrilling for me. I hope maybe it is for you.
That's rabbit hole material, man. That's like you're just sitting there going through. I did that with Polaroid, I think. And you just it starts about in 96, but you can kind of see like the evolution of their website and those early ones where it's just like big and clunky and stupid fonts and things flashing to what they became. It's fun.
Yeah, it's so fun.
That's not how websites still are, because that's how like mine is.
Dude, can I tell you, I bought and you are welcome to go there because it is there. I bought johnglover.com in like 1998 and there's a little man digging that says under construction. It has been that way for 8 years.
I'm so excited.
I've had other John Glovers in other parts of the world write me. I've had other John Glovers be like, can I just have this website so we do something with it? I'm like, no. I'm keeping this till I die.
That's and have people offered you like money, being like, how much?
I've never gotten into the money, but people have asked to have the site.
Wow. But you would never sell. Like you are such a collector and you have a collection of valuable things. Like you would never sell johnglover.com.
Never.
Not for $1 million.
Not for
No.
Tax-free. Maybe a tax-free million. A gift card to Yankee Candle. I don't know. I can be bought.
Oh, well, here, you've heard it here, folks.
Well, thank you for having us on your show. I want to say we're big fans of you as a person. Happy belated birthday. I didn't send you a
your
birthday
birthday
thing
was
yesterday. I am not the biggest reader, but I love what your podcast is about. I love that it's about cheap, raunchy-ish could be books. I think that lends itself to a beautiful conversation. So we're super excited and honored to be here.
Yes, thank you so much for having us. We love you, Becky.
So much. I love you guys. Marissa, you have been on the show before.
Yes,
John,
years
this is
ago.
your first time. Have you, John, ever read a romance novel before?
Have you ever read a book before this week?
John, do you read? Okay, so you're like you're an Emmy award-winning researcher. Do you know how to read?
Well, it's funny that you say that, because when I was a kid, I was I always see, this is why I need Alistair. Voracious.
That works.
Ferocious.
Ferocious.
Voracious reader. I would read all the time. And then when I became a researcher, I read so much during the day. I don't find myself reading books that often.
Right. Yeah.
I think the last full series I read was the Harry Potter books, and those came out in like the late 2010s or whatever that was. 2007.
That feels like yesterday to me. I don't even know what time it is anymore.
I
That
know.
was yesterday.
I know, me too. So I like to read. I don't usually read books. I can't wait to talk about this one. I have a lot of thoughts, not only on my process of reading it, which was in fucking insane. I'm sorry, I don't know if you cussed. Freaking insane.
Yeah.
But I don't even remember what the question was, but I'm sure I answered it.
Yeah, I was, can you read? And you did.
The audiobook was a necessity.
I just get lucky. I look at pictures and figure it out.
This book could have used some pictures.
Dude, this book could use a lot of things. And I basically picked this book, man. Bad. Well, we'll get into it.
Well, we'll get into it, because I actually, I'm just going to say off the bat, hands down, love this book. I love it.
Man. But you read, like, so you have all this stuff to, like, equate it to, like, so.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I do. And that's the thing. And I think, like, when I was, like, reading it, I was like, oh, I love this because it's different than this usual XYZ thing that you normally see. It was, like, so different. But seriously, before we get to the book, John, you did some research on Harlequin. You put your Emmy Award winning.
Listen, you only have to bring up the Emmy 3 times per episode. That's in contract, so you're good.
Oh, I did it? Okay, so the Emmy, okay, so Emmy's done. Anyway, you won an Emmy. But you did do research. So I know, like I did like a little bit of research on Harlequin to like kind of like mimic how you guys do it's nothing compared.
Good.
But you did some research. I trust you more than I trust me.
I didn't do any research. So John, Becky, take me to school.
Well, this sounds about like our show.
Yikes.
No, I'm kidding. Marissa does impeccable research. Like I said, in Gatorade, I learned a couple things I did not know. No, I did not do a deep dive on research for your pod, but I did pull some interesting facts. And I've never had 2 people, so maybe you guys can, I don't know, I'll ask a question. Maybe you can like guess.
Oh, like true or false?
It's a numbers game for most of them, I think. Okay, Harlequin publishes. How many books a month do you think Harlequin publishes?
Per month?
Per month.
3? That seems reasonable.
Wait, I have now let me can I ask questions about the questions?
Yeah.
Does this include digital?
Oh, okay. Then
it
4.
does not say that. I'm going to assume it does, and it does include all of its like subsidiaries.
Got it. Okay, so then I'm going to say over 3 figures, right? Like,
you tell me. I mean, like, this isn't
on
Jeopardy. You can't be like, is it? That's how with an S.
It's how I play Jeopardy. You don't see me watch at home.
You're not in my house. Actually, for the last week, I have been watching you through that window.
Man, is it over 100? Okay,
it's 120.
I was gonna say 120.
That's a lot.
It's 120.
Lot.
Here's a fact.
That is a lot.
We won't do too many facts, but this fact literally, anytime I hear a fact like this, I don't understand how it can be true. I do the math myself to see if there's some way they've made a mistake. How many Harlequin books are sold? I don't even know if it's worth asking it that way. I'm just going to tell you. There's 4 Harlequin books sold a second.
That
every
is
second
shocking.
of every day, 4.1 Harlequin books are sold, 131 million books a year. And I was like, that doesn't seem to add up. And then I asked Alexa, how many seconds are in a year? She said 31 million. I was like, well, okay,
This
then
is
I guess the
crazy.
math adds up for a second.
That's
Wow.
insane, and I 100% believe it, and I 100% like 20% of those books are like me.
I was about to say,
You're buying what, 3 a second?
I'm buying, like, you have no idea what I'm doing right now with my toes.
I was going to say about half of those are probably yours. So
That
For
is
sure.
unbelievable.
yeah.
Wow.
So there's a couple fun facts for you if you go to your book club or you go to a now this will air after Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day party. I don't know when this is airing. Next time you're at a party, throw those facts out and you're sure to be a hit.
These are incredible facts. See, I was like, it was founded in 1948 by a guy with a British name.
See,
I
that's
don't know his
interesting
name.
also.
It's Richard Bonnycastle. No, like that's a very
Ooh.
British name, right? Like but it was in Canada, but Bonnycastle just
It's a very
sounds-
romance
Bolton
novel name.
Castle.
Yeah.
That does sound British. Yeah.
It's very British. And yeah, it became big, and now it has like its online kind of or digital imprints, like the ones we read, which is the Carina Press. And we read a book from Carina Adores, which is their trope-driven LGBTQ romance line. And the book that we read, you guys, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
We read the book Pack of Lies by Charlie Adhara. Here's something that's very exciting. When I found it and bought it, it was $1.99. Now, I went to look at the price today just to double check. It's now selling for $10.
What? Sell it. Sell it now.
Whoa.
We'll hold.
I don't think that's how it works with
List
a
it.
digital copy. Put it on LimeWire.
I don't understand what was going on, whether it was like Black Friday shopping, a Christmas miracle. I don't even know.
Wow,
But
so we got it at a steal.
I picked it up at the library, both hard copy and audio copy.
oh my God.
Becky, let me
Yeah.
ask, do you notice a difference in so are the digital only downloads, are those considered to be like less good? Is that, and then like, are the prestige, but the best ones, the best series, those are the ones that make it to like paperback?
It's funny you ask that because there are times where, like, theoretically, yes, but there are times where I will read a Harlequin paperback, one of the 120 books that was published. And to me, it feels like, oh, this is the author's 17th book. They just wrote it real fast, phoned it in, blah, blah, blah. You know, it just feels like, oh, shoot, are you frozen? Did I freeze? Oh, no, you're here.
It's
You
very
guys are
still.
here.
We're
Oh
just
my God,
listening
You
intently.
guys, oh, wow. Okay. I was like, I can't, no one's ever listened to me like that before. Okay. No one's ever like paid attention.
I live in my apartment like I'm in the movie A Quiet Place, so I try
Me
not
too.
to make any noise.
Oh, I love this. This
Very
is
grouchy neighbors.
my favorite episode. Okay. So like sometimes I'll read one that's traditionally published and I'm like, this is fine. It feels a little phoned in by the author, which I get, not
Interesting.
everything is a hit, And then I'll like read like a digital version, like something digital from Carina Press that like I saw some author on Twitter or I'm on a bunch of authors like newsletters and they always have links for free books and I'll just like download a random free book because why not? And they end up being absolutely incredible. So there
Wow.
are outliers, I will say. There's a plenty of outliers.
This might be an outlier then. I
This
mean,
is
this is at
100%.
$10. This is kind of like that's kind of a prestige price for a digital download.
It's a prestige price where to the point where like I'm gonna like before you even like post this, I'm gonna double check again and again, do my research skills because God forbid
We
I put
can't
out
leave people astray.
misinformation.
Here's my question about digital or the audiobooks. Why does the Los Angeles Public Library only have 5 that you can borrow? It's a digital file. What does it matter? Like, just give it out freely.
Did you use the Libby app? Do you use the Libby app too?
I honestly don't know.
Okay.
I use the Libby app, yeah. And it said that 2 of the 4 copies were already borrowed, and I'm wondering if one of those was John.
Probably.
And there was somebody else out there reading the book in Los Angeles who hopefully is listening to this pod.
Probably.
We have to reach them.
I will say there is like this and I'm saying this, not that I've committed this. There
Oh,
is an underground network of people who like pretend to live in different cities so they could get library cards from whichever city and have more
wow.
access to different books on Libby. There could be a chance that whoever is borrowing those books is not in Los Angeles.
Because really,
Wow.
you just need the number from the library card, right?
Yeah. Like
Do
I did that
people
with
swap?
you can, yeah. So like I did
Ooh.
it with Las Vegas and I got in trouble and I'm not allowed in Las Vegas.
You're not allowed, physically allowed in this. That's why you didn't
They
go to the Super Bowl.
yeah, they won't let me go. Like it's the worst thing you can do in Las Vegas.
Wow, that is shocking. How would you get busted for something like that? Like, how could they possibly be keeping tabs?
Because I tried to get a book that was unavailable with just my library card. I think it was like a big book that was out too. Like it was, like Fourth Wing or something. It was like a big fantasy book that everyone was reading, and I was like, okay, like I really don't want to spend over $5 on this. Sorry. I'm going to pretend I live in like Las Vegas. Let me see on my Las Vegas like library card, is this available? I tried to borrow it and it says don't have access anymore. Blah 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 blah.
Oh no.
Oh, they were
Oh,
mad.
banned.
Yeah, I'm banned from Las Vegas.
I think like reading a romance novel is probably like, what's the demand for that level of scandalousness in Vegas? It feels like if you feel like having a risque evening, you're not popping to the library to get a digital download of a book.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
were
it's all around.
hardcore.
It's all around. You're getting into some real life 3D trouble.
Fair.
In my head, I was picturing you were able to get the book digitally from Las Vegas. You were reading it on your Kindle, and then all of a sudden, all the letters started to move around, and was like, "You're busted!" And like your Kindle got really hot, and you had to throw it down, and it was like this big thing.
Yeah,
That would be
and then
really fun.
Keanu Reeves came bursting through my door.
If it was our show, it would have been Matt Damon, but that's okay.
That's right.
That's
It's
yeah,
a really good
yeah.
opening to the movie based on your podcast.
Yeah. Like, are you listening to Hollywood? Because I got a screenplay ready to go. Okay, so here is a quick synopsis of Pack of Lies. Okay. Actor Julian Duran may know how to play a part in Hollywood, but when it comes to actual shapeshifting, leave that to Eli Smith. Eli is a lone wolf. Literally. He manages a haven for directionless wolf shifters in Maudit Falls, all while attempting to stay out of trouble himself. But trouble comes a-howlin' when Julian arrives, looking for clues about his brother's mysterious death. Julian and Eli know working together will help, but pack mentality gets complicated when your secrets keep clawing at your conscience. Sure, physical chemistry between Julie and Eli is sexy and feral. But when betrayal flashes its pointy fangs, will a potential love be forgotten?
Oh.
Oh my God, I gotta read this book.
And the Emmy goes too.
Pass it over. Pass it over.
That was
Just to-
phenomenal.
Just to throw this in there, and I'm sure you know this, and we're probably going to bring this up. From what my understanding is, there was a series of these wolf books before this that people really enjoyed. They liked the writing style and the tongue-in-cheekiness of it. And this is a character from that series has now broken off into his own world.
That is correct. They've broken off into their own world, and they're actually, I discovered, is going to be, which is unusual for like a romance series, there's going to be a sequel to this book that's about these two characters. Like I usually, like in this world, a sequel would be like one of the side characters and who they fall in love with. But but in the sequel, apparently they're going to be in Los Angeles solving more mysteries. Oh, they get together. I just spoiled the ending, but everyone knows how it ends.
Of course.
Yeah, we all know.
Wow, that is really. So wait, who was the character from the previous series? Was it
Eli was the character?
Oh, Eli was. Okay.
Yeah, and the series was about like Cooper and who he married, and like Eli was like the wayward werewolf they took in to help out, you know.
Wow, that's interesting because his character was so mysterious that it felt like if it was like a character you had known before, did that like spoil any of the mystery? Like, because it felt like we were just kind of, he was getting revealed all over the place.
I did read a couple of reviews that said this does stand up on its own. Like you don't have to have read that, but if you have read it, you'll get some of the terminology of like how the wolf world works and like things like that, I think.
In
Yeah.
skin, in fur.
Oh my God,
Yes.
in fur, yes.
In fur, in skin. Well, let's talk about this wolf world because like it took me a second to like, because like every single, like, you know, when you watch like Buffy or like the HBO True Blood, whatever it's called, True Blood, in True Blood,
True Blood.
Yeah.
True Blood. You know, they every like kind of like paranormal town like has its own like political system, and like this, it seems like it's very organized, but it's almost like wolf packs are like the mob in this world.
Mhm.
Like there's the DeLuca pack.
Mhm.
Yes. There was a lot of like societal rules and hierarchies, almost to the point where I'm like, is everybody in the town a werewolf?
That's what I thought.
Like, and do they not know that? And they're like, oh my God, like you too? Like, are they all just werewolves? Because it did feel like they were kind of running every show.
Yeah, it made me think like, what if like this whole time that we have all been alive, like in Los Angeles right now, there's like werewolf mobs like claiming territory on our neighborhoods right now, and we don't even know.
And those
I
aren't coyotes that we hear at night. Those are the werewolf tribes.
Yeah.
I do love that.
Mhm.
Okay, I want to throw this disclaimer out there before we get into this conversation and just kind of quickly tell you how I approached this book.
Okay.
Marissa, it's kind of like how I approach a lot of the foods I eat. It doesn't make sense. Okay, I did nothing with it for about a week. And then I was like, oh, fuck, I got to read this book. And then I started reading it. And then I'm a really slow reader and I have to keep rereading things. So I went and got the audiobook. Then I started listening to the audiobook, picking up from where I had finished reading it. The guy who reads this book, and we'll get into this later, it's insanity. It's this guy does every character. I think every character sounds crazy. I couldn't differentiate between them. They were either just a gay guy or a woman for everybody, I think.
Yeah,
so
his
then I
performance was
panicked.
very like middle school play. Like it was very over the top. Playing the voices of the women, very like, well, I don't know if I've seen him around here anymore. It was very much like 12-year-old. Yeah, it was.
And they all kind of sounded the same.
Yeah.
So then I was like, this isn't working for me because I don't even really know what's going on. So then I panicked and read the last chapter of the book. And I was like, okay, at least I know how it ends, but I don't know how I got here. And then today I've been re-listening to the entire audio. So I'm all over the place with this thing. I think I know the basic things that happened, but I'm confused by character names and chronology. There you go.
It also was a pretty dense lore. Like I know that that's maybe more typical with this kind of genre stuff, but the lore was like a lot to parse apart. You need like a map, you need strings to like keep track of it too. There's a lot of betrayals.
Like I honestly I think because like the way my brain works, like I pay attention to what I pay attention to, and the other stuff kind of just like flies past me. And usually like in books like this, it's always like the love story is the one that I'm paying attention to. But it felt like there were times where it like took such a back seat, and I'm like waiting for like a sex scene or like an emotions scene, and it's like, well, who's Cody? Like,
you know how long you waited? You waited 3 hours and 50 minutes before the sex scene started. On the audiobook, if you want to get to the sex, go 3 hours and 50 minutes into it, and you'll find the sex.
I don't think you want this man talking about a rock hard penis in boxer shorts. I don't think
that's the other thing. He doesn't say penis. He says dick and cock, and it's like, and I can be a dirty boy, but like every time he said dick and cock, it was like so jarring because he was trying to be like a Southern belle the whole time, and he's like, do you want to suck my dick? And I'm like, what's happening?
It made you not gay anymore.
Yeah, I'm straight now, ladies. Your lucky night.
Oh boy, they're all clawing. It felt like I was like, it was like an actor from like a 1950, like the voiceover from like a 1950s movie was doing this book and didn't realize that like it was like it's like he time traveled in time from the 1950s to do this book. And
I mean that would be a good book, right? A time traveler who has to read an audio erotica, like that would be something.
And
I'm almost surprised he didn't do his own Foley work, like skin slaps and and sweet pea clumps or whatever was going on.
Yes, I would say if you want to truly like get horny, like reading this book, the audiobook is not the way to do
the
it.
way to go.
Yeah, because like,
No.
wait, I have something here. I'm gonna find. He was just like the way he would talk was just like. Julian shivered beneath his hands, not from the cold, not with the way he immediately started fondling his buttons, you know, like, and I'm just like, what is this right now? Like, this is so funny.
It was wild. So distracting.
Okay. Maybe you can tell me this because you've read a million of these books. I was expecting a dirty book with hairy boys. Like that's
Agreed.
why I was like, wolf. Oh, cool. They're like Armenians. Like I like a nice hairy boy. They're gonna fuck and it's gonna be raw. So I don't think there was any penetration in this book. I think
No.
they fucked each other's hands. Like he's like, I gripped his dick and he's like, fuck my hand. And I'm like, what is happening?
Somebody
Is
did
that-
get a butthole fingered.
Okay, right.
Yeah,
They
but
played
that's
with
not-
his crack or whatever. But
It's not like, it's not fucking. I
is
get
that
you.
normal? Is it like, I'm
That
like,
is
oh,
not
is this the level of
normal.
what these books are? They can't penetrate. Like it used to be in Playgirl, you couldn't show a hard on, you could only show a softie. So I didn't know if that was like a rule in this world.
It is not a rule in this world, and I was very surprised because like I was expecting like they were gonna, you know, because like there's one point where he's like, oh, I don't have my, what does he say, sex equipment or something? Like he says
Yes, he was like,
something.
I'm not ready. I'm like, this
Yeah.
is a book. Like, be ready.
Yeah, like the author can say
Just
that
change
they're
the
ready.
words
Yeah.
and then you're ready.
Yeah, just like, you know, you can make this world where the condom's there. Like, just have a condom in your wallet. We all do.
I have to run to the store, Julian. What? No, you don't. Just have
Well,
it.
they had this plot where like Julian, he was bi, he was kind of like
Mhm.
had never been with a man before, so he was like nervous, and so I was kind of rooting for him. I was like,
Yes.
I want to see Julian butt fuck Eli.
Thank
Oh God, I
you.
didn't. I wanted Eli
Thank
to be the
you.
top because he was hairy, and then when Eli started to like show bottom tendencies, I was a little disappointed.
I will say that I really did. I actually loved that. And that's what I wanted to see more of. Because I just thought it was very interesting to see a guy who doesn't have a lot of experience being with other guys, who's just a human, being able to like tell a werewolf, what I'm assuming is someone who has been with plenty of men, what to do. I'm like, this is humanity.
This was maybe the greatest literary expression of humanity to date.
Really, it's like, you know, we're all full of layers and dichotomies, and what is more beautiful than seeing that?
Yeah.
A lot of things. A lot of things are. There's so many other things. I
Would
wanted
you
to
have liked
rip
it
my
more if
eyes
they-
out.
Would you have liked it more if they did butt fuck?
No, because I was mostly listening to the audio, so it would have been like, I'm penetrating your wolf butt. Like the unsexiest thing I've ever heard in my
Yeah.
life.
There were times, because like I was like, would I would be driving and listening to it, like, and that's when I would, so when it got to the sex part, I would literally have to stop because I'm like, I cannot listen to this man. And I say this like I have a lot of respect for, I would love to be an audiobook narrator. Like we're all performers, we were you know, but
Yeah.
this,
You would have done great. You would have killed it.
You
I
would
would-
have
yeah.
killed it.
Hands
You
down.
would have killed it. And
but
I think the
would-
book is
yeah.
only about like 12% sex. It's like
Mhm.
all
Not enough.
mystery. It's all looking for things and looking at clues, and everyone's got a secret. It's like a game of Clue come to life. It's not
Yes. Yeah.
a sexy game.
No.
And
it's like,
yeah, and I'm like you,
whodunit.
Becky. Like I like the I read romance novels now, like, but they're nothing that's like supernatural or fantasy, but I like seeing the development of the relationship. I like when they go from not getting along and then like they learn a little bit more about each other's histories and past, and they get more vulnerable, and you get to kind of see like that dialogue feels really natural, and you kind of like feel them kind of falling in love. And when the moments where that was happening, I was like, oh, this is wonderful. And then
Mhm.
they'd be like, enough of that. We need to go find a clue.
I know, it would
Yeah.
drive me nuts, and it would be like so abrupt. Like it'd be like
Yes.
like I don't know, they're having like this hot thing, and he's like thinking a sexy thought, and they're thinking a sexy thought, and they're like gazing at each other, and I'm like, fuck, 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 and then it's like later on they were hiking in the snow, and I'm like, god damn it.
I know, and they'd be in the snow. I was like, could they fuck in the snow? And it's like, no, they're just looking at paw prints. Like,
I know.
this
And they
isn't
have
enough.
almost fuck scene in the snow, and I'm like, this is sexy, please, because that was like there was like they have a great like connecting moment and kissing
Mhm.
moment when they're like hiking in the snow, and I'm like, forget, I don't care who murdered whoever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just hook up.
Yeah, I agree. I did not
Took a
care
really
about
long
most of the
time.
mysteries that were laid out for me to figure out.
Yes.
I just
think it
want,
was-
and that's me being a gay boy. Like most of my erotica stuff I've read is, I mean, that's all it is. It's like
Right.
a little bit, it's usually short stories too, but it's like quick setup and then dirty.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
was chapter 7 and 8 when like they really had
Yeah.
the sex scenes. And even then it was playing it really, really slow. It was like they would start and they'd be like, we shouldn't. And I'm like, no, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they got off, they're like, I'm going to go to bed now. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
It almost was like, is this based on a true story? Because it almost feels like kind of like real life, like where it's like, yeah, and then we kind of like had a hard time, like that I mean happened with Julian, where it's like he felt like embarrassed after the first time they hooked up, where he was like, I wasn't good. I'm like, is this like someone's like real story?
Yeah, that felt very real.
Felt
Like,
very real.
like I understand it's the next day. You have the best sex. You're like, it's the next day. You're awkward, whatever. But this was just like, this is a legit fear that like I have, and I don't want that in my werewolf fucking books.
The first sex scene was a lot of like, oh God, I've never done this before. Am I doing this right? This is terrible. He hates me. I'm like,
Right. Did I misread this? No, this can't. This could. No, we shouldn't. We should.
Yeah.
come on,
And I know people
bend
are into
over,
that.
spread your cheeks. Get
Yeah.
down to business.
So Becky, you really enjoy this book. Like,
I
what
did.
is it? Like, what is it that you loved about it?
Here's my number one reason I loved it was I thought it was clever that Eli had the personality of a vampire, but he was a werewolf. And I was like, thank you for that.
Interesting.
I loved his character. I loved everything he said and put in and out of his mouth. Like
That's interesting.
I loved
That's
it.
really interesting. John was a vampire in high school. So John, did you see any vampire qualities in Eli?
Well, I honestly think I just did myself such a disservice by relying on the audiobook that I was just constantly mad at the voices that like there was nothing for me to like attach to or feel much about with just the performance of it. I should read one of the sex scenes, like just straight up read it to see how it plays out by my own thoughts instead of his actory thoughts.
Read it quietly to yourself right now and then let us know if you get a boner. Raise a flag if you get a boner.
Let's watch him.
All right.
There's like on TikTok, like you could follow a lot of like sexy male audiobook narrators like testing out like, hey girl, like you're doing great. Like, just like listen to one of them and then like imagine that voice in the book. And I think like you'll be pleasantly surprised because the audio, like again, respect for every creative out there.
Of course.
Audiobook narrator.
Of course. We all make our choices.
It's a bold one.
We all have to live with them. There was one line in there that Julian said that I won't quote it because I don't think I wrote it down, but it stuck with me just because of what we've gone through over the last few years with COVID and like losing people. And a lot of this is about like, him losing his brother and he's following his brother's path and trying to figure out the things, that Rocky, that's his brother, like went through. And there was just this little moment. It wasn't even like a major part of it, but he was saying like, after Rocky died, like everything became normal too quickly, and it made it almost seem like the death didn't matter. And it was like, like when something that big happens, it's like color should be all reversed or time should be upside down, but everything was just normal too quickly. And I resonated with that just because, there's been death in my life over the last few years. So I thought that I wasn't expecting to get that little bit of like deepness out of this.
Absolutely. That part stuck with me too. Cause like, I think we've all had that moment where it's like, you're in the middle of grief and then you're like, should we go to Marshall's cause there's a sale? And it's like, why am I thinking that? But you do, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I know.
It's
I guess
like
I still just
guilty, like returning to normal, that, and those were like truly the best parts of the book is when like, which is why it's like, not a missed opportunity because this writer can write whatever they want, but to have both of those, to have to like pay both of these plot lines, like you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This emotional relationship that's developing, and then like so much of it. I was joking with John. I'm like, this turned into the Da Vinci Code. Like we are like, people are getting shot at. We're looking for like the letter, like the clue. It was just like So
SD
much to
card.
follow. The SD card,
Yes.
the picture's been deleted.
I couldn't follow on. I could read this book having Eli not be a werewolf. It's just a guy named Julian who's in the midst of his grief. He goes to a ski resort and falls in love with Eli. And this would be my favorite book of all time.
You can go through and go with a Sharpie and then just take it out. And every mention of like ears slipping into fur. There were a lot of, and I also got a little hung up too on the visual of it. Like a lot like teeth slipping into fang. You can kind of imagine that, but a lot of like ears slipping into fur. I'm like, what does that look like? I was like imagining like if it were a movie, like
Just watch the
come
Michael
to this
Jackson Thriller
movie.
video. Have you ever seen the Michael Jackson Thriller video when he
You know what?
transforms?
Yeah.
That's a really good point. I'm wondering if that was the inspiration for this.
I think it was. Yeah.
Could have been. It is interesting because like I was picturing like during those parts, like, you know how like the CW shows like Buffy and like Supernatural have like a very distinct kind of feeling where it's like so campy. And I was like, oh, like it read kind of weird because it's like, oh, here's like, it felt like it's a campy moment when someone's ears suddenly turn into like werewolf ears.
Yes, it's very Teen Wolf.
Yeah. Yes, Teen Wolf. That's what it reminded me of. And it was like, oh, that's interesting that like in this world, like part of your body can turn and you can like keep the rest of yourself human. If you
I did think that was it.
Oh,
no, sorry, go ahead. No. I didn't mean no. No.
Good night.
No.
Okay. No, I was gonna say if there was a like, would you want that ability? Like, if there was a part of your body you can't change into an entire werewolf, but there is a body part that
just a werewolf dick.
Yeah,
I would want that.
I'd have a werewolf dick too. Yeah, that's my answer.
Super hairy down there.
I did like the ability, like you could make like a really sharp fingernail at a moment's notice in case, you know, sometimes you get a package from Amazon, you have to like go find a key or a scissor.
Yes, that's
With that right open,
convenient.
that's useful.
And
If
like,
I'm remembering correctly, what I think wasn't it that like not all werewolves have that ability. Like the younger werewolves turn into werewolves, but the older you are and the more power you have, the more controlled you can be with like, I just need to jump really quick, so I'll stretch my leg muscle out to werewolf muscles really fast. It kind of reminded me of Anne Rice. I feel like she did that with her vampires. Like the older they got, the more control they had over their vampire powers, which makes sense. I think that
it's learning life. You know, you're learning more about yourself as you age, and like I get it.
Yeah, think about all the stuff we're really good at, like better than like a baby.
Well, I gotta get back to you on that.
There's gotta be something.
I don't spit up.
I still do that. Fuck. I did that like right before we started recording.
I had another thought. Now I can't remember what it was.
I think eyesight for me, like he's able to like, you know, like doesn't need, like it seems like werewolves have good eyesight. Like he doesn't need a flashlight and he's just like pretending to use one. And I'm like, that would be nice to not, you know, be able to see in the dark.
Yeah, his hearing didn't seem quite as good as I thought it was going to be, because when he was in the room with Julian, he was trying to listen to the people from the elevator, and he was like, they're a little too far away and there's too many like doors between us, so I can't hear what they say. And I'm like, I was like, a vampire could hear what they're saying. So
yeah, and it was like too windy outside for him to hear people coming. It was like, don't you have like dog power?
Yeah, I think I already have wolf ears from what I can tell from this author.
John, you should not get wolf ear power because you are very sensitive to like sounds like people chewing and stuff.
Yeah, that is
don't
true.
need that.
I get very focused on noises. It's a thing. It's a real thing. A lot of people in my family have it. I'd
like to be able to pick. I liked when Eli threw Julian off a cliff unexpectedly.
Oh my God, I don't even remember. I think I must have missed that part.
Yeah, he like
was that at the end?
They were being attacked, so he like picked him up and threw him off a cliff. It was a bold move for somebody you're hooking up with, and I found that intriguing.
I would throw you off a cliff. I would push you down stairs.
Stairs or the cliff of the house.
To save my life, yeah.
Whatever you need.
Trouble.
Yeah.
It was nice because, like, at that moment, like, it's like shit's going down. Like, it's like he just, like, Julian knew that Eli was a werewolf before Eli knew Julian knew. Wait, hold on. Like, no, Julian knew early on that Eli was a werewolf and just kept it to himself, you know, and was just like, da-da-da, da-da-da. They have this reveal.
I couldn't tell like how dumb he was.
I know, yeah, and I think it was like, there was like this question of like, when did Julian like suddenly do the shift of like, oh, werewolves are real and I'm cool with it? Like, it just went like, what's going on to werewolves are real and I'm cool with it.
That was the working title for this book. Werewolves are real and I'm cool with it. Part 1.
Yeah, that was really weird because it did when he acted like he didn't know what was going on. I believed him. I was convinced by it, and I didn't think he was covering it up. But yeah, it was kind of hard to track like who knows what and who knows what. You know what I mean? It was that was a little
too much. It was all too much.
Yeah. And it was very funny because like this was like the one book where like Eli, like where it was like actors and their skills were like, damn it, it's an actor. Like it was like Eli kept getting like frustrated, like, how do I can't read Julian? Ugh, him and his acting.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out if he was an actor if he's an actor in our world, who is he? Because they said kind of like more of a probably older B actor than like Matt Damon, of course.
Sure.
Like an Ian Ziering.
Maybe maybe an Ian Ziering.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's actually probably who this was based on.
The scenes are a little less sexy through that lens, but you know.
I'm not gonna lie. When there had been moments in my life where I found Ian jerkable, like jerk-offable.
Well, when you reread chapters 7 and 8 for that.
Just get a picture of him as my bookmark.
There you go.
One thing that Eli said that I thought was interesting, I have always thought of like werewolves as like people that turn into wolves. But he described it as like you're a wolf and so you can become something that almost passes as human.
Yes.
Which
you're always a wolf, but you're either in fur or in skin. That's what he said. I thought that was interesting too. So, and I was like, kind of, is that like common, like werewolf, like, is that canon? Werewolf? Do they not like to be called werewolves? Do they prefer?
Oh, well, there's like, it depends. And there are people who know more than me, so I will preface that. But from my understanding, like, it seems like werewolves and wolf shifters are two different things. Werewolves, they, turn into werewolves like on a full moon. They can't help it. It's just like something that happens, blah, 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 blah. Wolf shifters is you are a species where you can shift into a wolf, and the wolf is, and it's part of who you are. It is used interchangeably. I'm not a stickler, so, whatever.
Other people are calling them werewolves in the story. So
Exactly, yeah. But I think technically Eli is a shifter as opposed to like a werewolf. But yeah.
If a werewolf bites somebody, they don't turn into a werewolf.
Right. Yeah. In this, it's like they don't tell you how you become a werewolf. It just seems like it's a gene or something.
Yeah, I got a little hung up because they didn't specify how they become a werewolf. For in my mind, I had like vampire rules in my mind, like if you get bit, then you become one. And so every time.
Well, I don't want to interrupt you there, but there's more to it to becoming a vampire. You actually, they bite you, and then they have to present you with vampire blood. You have to drink vampire blood, and then you lose your body, and then you become a vampire. It's a process. So I'm sorry, I didn't want to step on your toes, but
yeah,
a resident vampire expert.
You can't just go to the boardwalk and get bitten by a vampire and suddenly
and then I'm a vampire. No.
Pay $20 and you live forever. So every time that Eli was, or that Julian was like even when they were getting bit, like during like sex, I kept being worried that was going to be like a plot point, is because there even was a line where it was like he nibbled just a little too hard, and then I was like, oh no, Julian's going to turn into a werewolf, and then it never happened, and I was like, okay. And at the end, he got attacked and like bitten and gnawed up and like ended up in the hospital, and I thought there's going to be he's a werewolf, and then it didn't happen. I'm like, oh, I guess that's not the lore.
Right. Yeah. Because they kind of like allude to it of like, because like they find like there was like this one human who was like, I want to discover the secret to being a werewolf and then I'll have ultimate power, and they're like, that's not how it works. But they never really explain how it does work. So it's like your brain is going to just assume the next thing in that we know of, which is, you know, getting bitten or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I wonder
And
if
so,
they
yeah.
I wonder if they explain that in that first series.
I bet they do. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that I understand. Like, you know, maybe they're like, if there's like for the people who are like love this author and are reading all of it, like they don't need a repeat, but I
Right.
could have used a repeat because I didn't
For
read the other books.
for a story this dense with like lore and history and like hierarchy and like rules of the
Mhm.
world, there were so many rules about the society and like maybe just give me 2 lines
Yeah.
about where they
Yeah.
come from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if there was like I don't know, like a paragraph of like, welcome to the Maldet Falls where werewolves
Yeah.
roam. Here are 5 rules you should know, chapter 1. And then I'd be like, great.
Yeah.
I would have
I
loved
like
that.
that. Do you think, am I the only one that thinks if you're being attacked or about to be attacked by a werewolf and they're really angry, if you do something like you do to a dog, like, you know, make those like dog sounds, will that calm them down?
Like saying like, stay.
Yeah, like, come here, boy, like talk to him like a puppy, or are they
You have like a
different
lot
enough?
of, if you have a little ham in your pocket like you do, if you threw that like
Yeah, like
really
can you
far
throw
away.
a ham cube at them and they'll be good?
I think so. Yeah, I
Okay.
do believe. I mean, if it's not in this book, then it's true.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
true.
probably in the first book.
Yeah.
I might reach out to the author. I should have done that before we got on pod. Well,
I feel like we should all just be walking around with ham in our pockets,
Ask
just in
about the ham
case.
cubes.
you're not?
No.
Oh.
You can never be too careful.
You can never be too careful. I have a question. In this town, like, there's this like kind of like myth, or like, you know, it's like they have their own kind of like Sasquatch Loch Ness monster called Sweet Pea.
If I hear the name Sweet Pea one more time, it is the stupidest name for a monster in the world. And hearing that theatrical guy say it, awful, awful.
Yes, I 100% agree. I think it is such a weird name. So my question for you is, as branding experts.
Oh, a Brand-Aid. This is what we call a Brand-Aid.
I think Sweet Pea needs a Brand-Aid.
And they even did it like when he was like talking about his brother Rocky. He's like, and Rocky was fascinated by all the legendary creatures, like the Loch Ness monster, and he went through all the ones we know, and then he's like, and Sweet Pea, and I'm like, oh my god, like you, it's so stupid.
It's so weird. It's like, oh, you're obsessed with a monster that literally everyone calls their baby. Like, it's very weird.
Yeah, especially if this exists in a world where all those other monsters like Loch Ness, Sasquatch, those like all exist. It's like, you guys know like what kind of names these things have. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Get a little more creative.
So that's a good question. If we were able to rebrand Sweet Pea, what would that be? I don't know.
Yeah.
I would need a minute to think on that. Maybe by the end of the show, we'll have a good name.
Yeah, I'm putting it out there.
I like that question.
When I was telling someone about, like, they were like, oh, what are you reading? And I, like, accidentally misspoke. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's like a guy who runs a werewolf ski resort. And then I was like, that's not what the book is at all, but I would love to read that book.
I also like that there was a moment where Eli, when they did go like on their snow mission skiing. Were they skiing, or they went up a ski lift?
They went on it. They were like going to search for clues.
Yes.
Yeah, like on a mountaintop.
On the mountaintop. And Eli, they like added this detail that Eli was wearing like a neon 80s the windbreaker, and I was like, that's interesting. That's like not how I had him painted as. And so that fits more into your werewolf ski resort book, which may be what this book should have been called.
I hope it eventually like becomes that. Like Maudit Fall. Like, this is what I hope the sequel to the book is that Julian and Eli get married, obviously. They turn Maudit Falls into a werewolf ski resort. And it's just like Love Boat, except werewolves on a ski resort. Like, and it's just chapter of the week, you know, fun guests. Actually, I want this to be a TV show called Werewolf Ski Resort.
Well, that would be great. It's a place where werewolves can relax. They don't have to worry about slipping into fur and getting in trouble.
You want to ski in fur? Great. You want to ski in skin? Great. You know, you be yourself.
You can butt fuck or not butt fuck. Or
No, they don't butt fuck. They hand fuck. Fuck my hand. Oh my god, fuck my hand harder. Oh.
You didn't like the fingering of the butthole?
No. Here's my question. I wasn't rooting for them. Were you guys rooting for these guys?
110% I was
You
rooting
really
for them.
were?
I know. It's because like when I met these
'Cause you-
characters, I was reading the prose of it. I did not hear this audiobook narrator.
Definitely
I
her.
was
Yeah.
rooting for them. Like I just kind of like really loved the two of them. I like love them. I love them. I
John,
love
did you
Julian
catch the
and
part
Eli.
where Eli, he used a pseudonym and then Julian clocked it as the name of a character from a soap opera?
Loved that scene.
And that he that this
No.
kind of character that Julian has kind of created, and it's kind of like he says, like he called him like it's based on this like flamboyant old queen character from a soap opera. So they like both like were obsessed with the soap opera. So there were a lot of those like cute little bonding moments where
love
I'm like,
that.
oh my gosh, that's like he threw out this name and he didn't think anybody would catch it. And there he is, like he just like had him read like a book. So cute.
Well, that's insight to the author, I think. I think the author is just this old queen.
But that was like my favorite moment. Like I feel
Mm.
like there were like fun kind of like twists on that kind of thing, you know, where it's like, oh, I was like, I know what to expect in these books, but it's fun when something like unexpected like that comes up, where it's like, oh, you think you're ahead of, like a lot of the times when you're reading it, it's like you think you're ahead of the characters, you know they're going to be together, this is romance, blah blah blah, but then when you find out like they're ahead of you, like that to me is very, I don't know, that was pleasant.
Yeah,
makes
it was
sense.
cute. And Julian was so like, he was so sad. Like I was
know,
kind of
I
happy
loved
to
it.
see him get a little action.
Yes, he's
His
been
two
through
ex-wives.
I mean, he lives out here in Hollywood. Where's his career going? We don't know.
I mean, is there anything sadder than an out-of-work actor?
Well, let's Google Ian Ziering and see what he has coming up in 2024. Here's a fun fact that you were definitely not expecting.
Mm-hmm.
One of the pseudonyms in my life that I have used multiple times is Eli.
No way.
Wow.
I go by Eli on certain things because one of my favorite singers' name is Elizabeth Fraser. So I have a pseudonym, Eli Fraser.
Where do you use this pseudonym, John?
Different websites or,
What
it
website?
varies.
Like chat rooms?
Names like this I used a lot more like 10, 15 years ago. That's where Hollywood Justin came about.
Yeah, John used to have a nickname, Hollywood Justin. I think that was
Okay.
his screen name.
It was. Justin sounded like a younger, cuter guy than I am, and Hollywood, meant that I was fun.
Hollywood. Yeah, I mean,
funny.
listen.
Somebody using the pseudonym Hollywood Justin, to me, that's like if you're using that as a fake name, you do not live in LA. You live in Ohio,
Mm-hmm.
you live in Kentucky, and you're like playing up like Hollywood. You live 2 miles from Hollywood.
Not on Grindr. On Grindr, Hollywood Justin doesn't stand out like that.
Ugh.
I feel like if like Hollywood Justin sounds like someone who like just moved to Hollywood and is just nailing it. Like it's just made it. Just moved and made it. And you're like, how is this possible? I fucking hate Hollywood.
Yeah, everyone else is like, I've been here 4 years, 10
Yeah.
years. How is he doing this so fast? That's Hollywood Justin.
Like, I don't understand. He's like, signing up to give out like, drinks at the clubs. And
Yeah.
it's Hollywood Justin and he's like acting like he made it. And I believe he made it. Like,
I don't know. I believe Hollywood Justin like weeps into his pillow every night.
Okay.
I don't know.
You just know me too well.
I'm getting my John and my Hollywood mixed up.
So what are your hopes for, I know you've already mentioned a little bit of them, hopes for the sequel. And hopefully I'm happy to come back on your pod. I would love to not read that book.
Okay. I will find, there are plenty of.
This was not your fault. This was 100% my
know.
choosing.
But I feel like, I get like, not overwhelmed, but I'm like, okay, like because there is so much to choose from, and I'm like, oh my God, I hope I choose the best one. It's like this and that. I think they'll like this. I hope they'll, and it's like, oh, and it's like, there are plenty of books, and I want you both back right now. If you could read a book right now.
Nobody could anticipate that narrator, that audiobook narrator. So that was not on you. On paper, this is the perfect book.
Yeah.
It's werewolves. It's supernatural. It's
brand,
gay.
got the Harlequin brand, and had all the things we wanted.
Yeah, it was true. It was true to the Harlequin brand. The tropes were there. It was just like, oh, let's find a way to like make this well-written book terrible. Oh, let's have like
Yeah, I just want to be jerking off for the 2 weeks leading up to the pod. Like, I don't want to have to like.
me too, and I couldn't,
And I
and
couldn't. I just couldn't.
I can't anymore because now all I hear is this man's voice.
Oh,
Close my
God.
eyes, try to imagine things.
I'm going as his voice for Halloween this year.
All I hear is Julian.
Julia.
Like,
And all the women were the same. Oh my God, it was so funny.
Yeah, it was like Southern Belle. It was almost like in an 80s TV show if a guy is like dressed up like a lady, you know what I mean? Like and trying to like pass like at the grocery store as like a lady, like because he's like doing some kind of caper.
yes,
It was very
it was
bosom
like,
buddies. It was very Tootsie. It was very like, well, I don't know. Like the worst. It's like you don't have to do the voice. Like
Yeah.
this isn't story time at the library. We can use our imagination. Just talk regular.
I know.
Yeah, I guess
like,
I don't know how
yeah.
audiobooks normally work.
Well, like the thing is that like he was so theatrical, and you don't need to be theatrical in a book like this because it's about werewolves fucking. You know what I mean? You
That's
just
a really good
play it
point.
real. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
like just tell us the story. Like that's all
Yeah.
we need. Like you don't need to sell it. We're already sold. We bought it, and with like the content
For
that's there.
$1. We've already put our $1 down, bitch. We don't need you to do it.
Yeah, it's
Put
there.
our 4
It's
quarters in
there.
the machine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I got, the playing card. So like, and so it's like, I don't know. Like, I feel like what I like about like a good audiobook narrator or a good erotica narrator is just like close to the microphone, like they're whispering in your ear and they're talking only to you. You know what I mean? And that's
I
what
just
I
got
wanted.
hard. I literally just got hard from that. That's how straight I am now. As I say in the gayest voice.
Yeah, this guy was not that. He was like a carnival barker. He was playing to the back row in the theater. There was no whispering sweet nothings in your ear. No.
No, it was the opposite. It was like I was being yelled at by a kindergartner teacher in 1953. Like I don't know what it was, but it was just like nightmare. It was the opposite of erotic.
So Becky, this is a question. So obviously you don't want, well, John might, but you don't want it to get like too steamy right away. You want to build up the
Of course.
anticipation, excitement for this relationship. How soon into where do you think is like the perfect spot to do it?
Okay, you asked my favorite question of all time. I think it depends on the characters and context, and the series. But I feel like for me, if I had my druthers, like first kiss 25 to 30% in, first. And then we have like making out, close making out. First full on sex scene, 50% in.
Wow.
We're going nuts till we're 75% in. Then we have the drama. Are they going to be together? We know they will. They like learn their lesson or whatever. They become better people, whatever. And then 99% in, we end on a bang, on a real fun bang.
Wow.
And
Wow.
if I had but here's the thing, like there are books like even like the most recent season of what's the Shondaland show on Netflix, the oh God, I just like
How to Get Away with Murder? What is it?
No, it's based on the Julia Quinn romance novels.
Yeah, Bridgerton. Oh my
God, I literally just had a stroke. But like the most recent season of Bridgerton, they get together very late, but I thought it was perfect the way they did it because of this buildup. And so there's always an exception,
That's funny because I love the first season of Bridgerton, and the second season I was like, just feels like it's not steamy enough. I don't know why. I was already primed. I was ready to go.
I get that. And I think like there's a level of like edge play.
Use like an industry term.
I used to, as a sex worker myself in the world of kink academia.
That's your bullet points on your resume. Great at edging.
Really great at edging. Studied UCB.
Graduate of UCB. You know who does it? Who know who did it right?
Mm-hmm.
Anne Rice.
Okay.
Those
Mhm.
vampire. Did you ever read like
I've-
Interview with the Vampire, Vampire
I've
Lestat?
I've only seen the movie, but I've never read it. Should I read
There's
it?
there's no sex in them, but the sensuality between some of these characters and the tension she's able to create between these characters, between Louis and Lestat, and then other people later on. It's so like I have chills just thinking about it. And that's
Mhm.
why she's, remembered as one of the great writers, because she's able to do that. Clearly
Mhm.
that's not what this book is, or, aspiring to be. But yeah, if you haven't read that, I know that that's not like a romance novel, but I would
Mhm.
definitely recommend reading Interview with the Vampire.
Sure. I mean, you make a really interesting point because I do think that books need good tension in order for like the good sex scene to hit, because like
Mm-hmm.
any one of us we can go online right now and find sex words and read them and or watch them or whatever, but to like make you care about the characters, understand the tension and really feel it, like I think that's kind of the key. And I think taking into account like some like techniques like Anne Rice or whatever, like I see it. Like I would love to I would read a book that was, if I had a choice between like a sexy book with no tension and just sex, or like a book with only sexual tension and no sex, like I would choose the tension one just because like I love the excitement of it, the build up.
Well, it also depends how much time you have and what your goal is.
Well, yeah, I have plenty of times, and my goal is to just pretend. And my goal is to get off. Obviously, I have plenty of time. And
So
in my
Becky,
head, I just picture it.
I agree with you. I think the 25% in is when I even would need like I read like Emily Henry. She's like the New York Times, the best-selling romance novel author right now. And so she's more like mainstream. But I've read 4 of her books recently, like back to back. And around the same time, like it feels like the 25% is when there's like a near kiss or something like almost happens but then doesn't, and like for some reason it can't happen right now.
Yeah.
This criticism of this book is that I'd say 40% in, I was like, who is gonna fuck? Like I didn't even know who it was.
Yes.
I was like, who is the tension with? Like I don't even know who.
Sweet Pea? Is it gonna be Sweet Pea?
Which fine, I'm happy for Sweet Pea, but let's do it.
It was so like mysterious. Whereas I like in like even at the first meeting when the first 2 characters who are going to be whatever the ones who we're watching their relationship, for there to be some like heat rising, you know what I mean, a little flush, a little something, a little noticing, give me a little sprinkle that like, okay, pay attention to these 2 because they're really going to be like the ones to watch. And I was like, is anybody horny?
Yes, thank you. I mean, honestly, yes, I was like that too. Because, like, I could tell that, like, okay, Julian would, like, notice Eli and be like, that's a beautiful man. But it wasn't like, oh my God, I need to fuck him. And I know if I fuck him, I will mess up everything. I have to stay away from him, but I'm going to think about him nonstop. Like, I wanted that type of, you know?
Well, and also because he was an actor, so a lot of people were commenting on like, "Oh, he's handsome." It just felt like everybody was saying, like, kind of saying the same things about everybody, that they're handsome. It just felt like I wasn't locking into that relationship early enough on to feel like that was the road I was taking. And then when it hit, I was like, "Oh, I'm loving these conversations and this like intimacy and vulnerability." But it maybe just like sooner. I'm with you on the 25%. I want to be like, at first glance, when they first lock eyes, I want to know that this is who it's going to be.
Yeah. I want to know, like, that night after they saw each other for the first time, they were both heavily jerking off. Like, I would need to know that.
Yeah, I will say it did get to a point where I was just like scanning through the book so mad. I was like, I need to see a dirty word. Like, and I just kept going and going and going.
Like, how much longer do I need to wait? And it was, it's chapter.
It's considerable amount of time. Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the thing. That said, I thought, even, you know, on occasion when it wasn't sexy with the audiobook narrator, I honestly thought it was a fun read. There is a lot that I don't remember that I didn't retain intellectually, or like that I didn't retain with my brain or anything. Like I saw the letters, but I don't know if I remember. But I loved this book.
Well, and I also
love
think that
them.
I think I'm just a harder critic because like I said in the beginning, I don't read a lot of books. So when I do read a book, it's kind of precious to me and I want it to be like such a good book. And I know that's not what this ever was going to be.
But
But
I get it.
you guys
Yeah.
read a lot more, so yeah, you have it's like just in your arsenal.
Right. But even like with readers, like I think people I know who like and like who read, and including myself sometimes, like you want our time is valuable. You know, you want to read something.
Oh yeah, I wasn't
You
saying that
know.
my time is more valuable
No.
than yours.
Oh no, I wasn't saying that either. I'm just saying
Wow. No, now I
no.
feel
Oh,
like an asshole. Wow.
no, I was saying that like you like readers who read all the time are just as critical as you can them as readers who don't, or as people who don't read all the time.
okay.
Do you know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
it's like, oh, like it does like who cares however many books anyone reads. We're all people. We all, our time is all valuable. We all matter, and like we want to do shit with our time that is valuable, whether it's read a book or like have Hollywood Justin, you know. Passing out drinks on the street. Our time
He
is
photographs
valuable.
weddings now too.
Yeah.
So if you know anyone getting married,
Oh
He's
my
doing really
God, I know
well.
so many people getting married. I gotta give him Hollywood Justin's number. But I'm just saying, like, you know, our time is valuable no matter what it consists of, you know,
Yeah,
whether we
yeah.
read or not read, you know, and like we want it to be worth it. I completely get it. I completely agree with you.
Yeah. No, I'm glad that you guys and Marissa's. That's kind of our relationship. I think she's good at finding like more of the positive things and things, and I'm like, boo.
But you need that. You need that. It's
The
like
yin yang.
I love everything I read, and I realize I don't have the ability to separate like what makes something good and what makes something bad. I just don't have that ability anymore. I'm done.
Yeah.
And so I need to have conversations to figure out how I think.
But that's nice that you can skip over the parts that you're like, well, this isn't really like, I'm not really too invested in this. Now it's the Da Vinci Code, Hunger Games, Mystery Saga. I'm just gonna, like focusing on the parts that were really lovely about the book, the relationship and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it could have been maybe a 10% spicier if I have a criticism on that end, but yeah, you can still appreciate that. It's not like it's a bad book. You could just skip over the parts that you don't like or that don't really appeal to you, and then just focus on the part you do.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, Becky, I'm going to ask you an on-brand question.
Okay.
If this were to be turned into a film, who does Matt Damon play?
Oh God, I was gonna say Sweet Pea, but
Matt Damon is Sweet Pea.
Sweet Pea.
I love it.
Honestly, it's really funny because I'm just like, when I was like reading Julian's character, I'm like, this is Matt Damon. Do you know what I mean? Like there were times where I'm like, this is Matt Damon, right? Like
that makes it. Ooh, that's funny. So when you read a book like this, I for some reason don't usually picture like a real. I don't know who I'm thinking
a real
of,
actor,
but I don't really put like an actor in my mind. Do you like usually have somebody you visualize?
It kind of depends. Like I'll like read like the character will like you know, the character will be introduced. They'll say a line of dialogue or there'll be like some sort of description, and then like I think my brain will just like automatically assign someone to it.
Is
so
it usually the same person?
It's always Matt. No, it's honestly who I watched on TV earlier that day because it's like who's ever in the back of my mind. Like,
right.
So I was like, watching that there's the Netflix documentary about Alexander the Great. So I was picturing Alexander the Great, the actor playing Alexander the Great, being Julian. But then when Eli started talking, I was like, he sounds like Damon Salvatore from the Vampire Diaries, which I watched, and I was picturing Damon, that actor, I forget his name, but like him, except he wasn't a vampire, he was a werewolf, and it was like it was my sexual fantasy come true until I listened to the audiobook.
So you have like your little like actors repertoire of that your cast that you can slot in.
Absolutely. And it's and they're in my closet. I pull them out when I'm like, oh, they said brown hair. You're in, your buddy.
Whoever's the hottest guy you just saw on TV earlier that day.
Honestly, yeah. Like that's usually what it is. Is like it's like whatever visuals in my head is like always. It's like the last hot guy scene is the guy who stars in the book or something. What about you?
Oh, sorry.
That's funny. Yeah, I need to get better about that, about like casting it in my mind, because I think that does make it more fun. It's not my go-to. I kind of just like, and sometimes I'll even get to the end of a book and I'm like, what color hair did that guy have? Like
Right.
I didn't even like really do any work on my part. Like if they didn't tell me he had arms, he doesn't have arms.
Yeah.
in my mind. I'm not filling in any blanks. I need my
Yeah.
hand held a lot.
Really? That's so
Yeah,
interesting.
I know.
There's some people that literally cannot visualize anything. They're like
Oh
not
yeah,
capable of it. That's like
that's
a
a
whole
bummer.
thing.
Yeah.
I know, that does seem kind of sad. Becky, I was
Especially,
gonna ask, do you do
especially
that
for a
also
rock
when
band.
you masturbate? They make fun of me because when I
Mhm.
jerk off, like my jerk off fantasies are very elaborate. It's
God.
like
Mhm.
I go to my next door neighbor's house and he like his wife's out of town and he needs me to babysit. And it's like, and I have this whole scenario.
Oh yeah, tell how that whole scenario goes. You
Mhm.
put on his wife's nightgown, you lay
Shut
in
up.
bed.
Okay, not always with the nightgown, but sometimes. And then he comes home and he's drunk and it's dark, so he just thinks I'm his wife. That's
I love this story.
that's
But I
not
feel
what
like, John, I feel like you have like 200, you have like a Rolodex of these like short stories you basically like written and you can
I
kind of like
do.
access them, but they have like, which is why it's funny because I feel like you would kind of like romance novels because you're not just like going straight to like, I'm having sex with my neighbor's dad. Like you're going to like, I sneak in and I
Yeah,
have to
but these
trick
are
him.
also like, 6 minutes long. They're not like
Yeah.
this
That's still
audiobook
very
was over
long.
9 hours.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because like when I fantasize, when I masturbate, like I think of like very grandiose romantic stories, and I'm always like caught in Act 1 thinking about who the characters are. That I fall asleep. Nothing ever happens. Nothing gets done. And then I wake up being like, I was thinking about something, and then I was like, oh, I was thinking about the character's backstory, and I was like, oh, look, my unused vibrator is next to me.
It's still vibrating.
Yeah, and now I gotta get out of bed because I have a life to live.
You go through
It's
a
like
lot of batteries.
yeah. It's like
Things never
vibrated down the
used.
hall. The
That's
girl that
why
never came. There's your movie.
That's it. Yeah.
that's why these romance novels are so great. They're like you're like, okay, thank God. I don't have to think about like the lore of this guy's past and he had a brother and he died and then he spent but whatever. It's like no, they tell you and then you don't have to do
Mhm.
all that work. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's so
Yeah.
smart.
It's
That's
like
efficient.
and like the books you remember, or just like, sometimes there's like scenarios that I remember like, oh yeah, I remember in that book they like had a three-way in a bathtub. Like, I'll do that one
Sounds
tonight.
so much spicier than what we read.
Oh, guys, I've read everything. And I'll read anything.
Have you ever been to the site nifty.org?
That sounds familiar, but no.
All right. I encourage you to visit it. That's where I
Okay.
go for my erotica quick fixes.
Okay.
And if you see an
nifty.org.
author named Hollywood Justin, you know who that is.
He pretended to be his wife.
Oh God.
So what happens? You're in the nightgown, you're laying in bed.
He asked me to babysit. He's like at a work thing. Goes later than expected.
Had a few too many beers.
Mhm.
Wait, where's his actual wife? You killed her?
No, something happened with her mom, so she had to go out of town for a few weeks.
And he doesn't know that.
And the kids are asleep.
The kids are asleep.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So I fall asleep in his bedroom in his wife's nightgown with some of her perfume on.
And he's so drunk he can't even see straight, but he feels the satin, he smells the rose.
He sees the nightgown, smells the perfume, and it's like, that must be her.
At what point does he realize it's not her?
Yeah, right away.
He never does.
He never does.
I get off but I get off and then, that never is part of the story.
It's never part of the story.
Yeah. No, he's like, you're not my wife, and then like
oh well.
oh boy.
That's fun. Well, you might have a future as a romance novelist.
I think so.
I
hope so.
Nifty.com. Nifty.com is the website?
No,
Okay.
nifty.org.
It's an organization, pardon me.
It's a .org.
It's like
a couple more
Planned
fun
Parenthood.
Harlequin facts for
Okay.
you.
Yes.
Harlequin purchases more than 2 original stories of fiction every single day.
Interesting.
Wow.
And more than 1/3 of American females have read a Harlequin book at some point in their life.
Wow.
Wow.
So I wonder what kind of, this is maybe off topic for your show, but just think about these things. With a book selling for like $2.99, is this like a lucrative business to be in as like a Harlequin author?
Oh God, no. No, I mean, no, honestly, like it's not lucrative, and people do it honestly like out of love. It is like, especially with Harlequin, like I think there was like some sort of like class action lawsuit recently too,
Wow.
where like kind of some of the authors were like, I don't know. Anyway,
They were getting screwed.
Yeah, they were getting screwed. It's
Well,
like
Marisa has a
yeah.
book. She didn't. I don't think you made a ton of money. Like the book game seems hard.
Barely
Yeah.
a dime. Becky wrote some erotica.
It was so hard.
Yeah.
I wrote like they were 6 minutes long, and it was it's difficult. And like now meeting like romance authors and just seeing the hustle of it, it seems like you have to do all of your own marketing plus write a book, and then write a book that people will read. You know what I mean? Like it's just like it seems like it's absolutely impossible, and it is like just yeah. I don't think anyone. I think it's very few people are like raking in the big bucks, and if they are, it's because maybe they're getting their stuff optioned or something. But yeah, I don't
do it for the love of the game.
Exactly. Yeah. Because like a lot of people like have not like day job. Well, yeah, they have like real job. Like they're lawyers and surgeons, and then come home and write werewolves.
Wow,
doing it.
I believe it.
Yeah,
that's the best way to unwind after a long day of surgery.
Yeah, you're just like knuckle deep in someone's brain.
Exactly.
You think Charles is a surgeon? Is that his name,
100%.
Charles?
100%. Oh yeah, he did
100%.
my
Oh,
appendectomy.
Charlie.
Yeah.
I will say the book felt good. It's got a good feel to it.
Oh, good.
It had
It's
one of those
soft, like floppy books.
Oh.
Does it have
Much
like
his main characters.
Did it have like a suede cover? I love when the cover is slightly like suede.
Slightly, but it's like a paperback suede cover.
What does it smell like? Sorry, I need to
A
ask.
library romance novel.
My favorite smell.
This is well used.
I might be crazy, but I think it smells like sweet pea.
Okay, I'm going to ask for your rating. Any final thoughts you may have. We are going to rate this. I was going to say rate it on Sweet Peas, but now I want to rate it on Hollywood Justins. 1 out of 5 Hollywood Justins means you hated it. 5 out of 5 Hollywood Justins means you loved it. And I'd say rate it on like how much fun you had reading it. Just, if you want to rate it on quality, go ahead. But I'm saying I'm going to rate it on fun, the fun that I had. And I'm going to give it like 4.5 out of 5 Hollywood Justins, taking away that 1.5 part because of the times that I was listening to it.
That's a lot of Hollywood Justins.
That's a lot of Hollywood Justins. I'm going to say because I listened to it so much, I'm going to balance you out and give it 1.14 Hollywood Justins.
Okay.
I'm going to say 3.25 Hollywood Justins because the parts that I liked, I really, really liked. And then the parts that were like not so fun, it was kind of like a snooze. But I think the parts that were strong, I really had a lot of fun with.
Oh, good.
Could have been a touch spicier, but isn't that always the case? Isn't that always the case?
I feel that way with every book I have ever read.
Have you ever read a book, Becky, and been like, too spicy?
Well, that's just too spicy.
Well, the history of hot sauce by blah, 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 blah.
I did write Marisa at one point today and was like, these two guys are just driving me crazy. I wish they would just kill each other with shovels.
Not before they get fingered in the butt.
Not before they go down that crack.
Yeah.
Oh, and that was the other. I mean, we're done, but
no, but go on.
In one of those very first sex scenes, like, didn't he come in like 3 seconds? Like he he like just touched his butt crack and he's like, "Oh, it came."
Yeah, they come fast.
What?
Which is why it was so funny. It was like, this is like a book. It's a fantasy. Like, why are you putting in like something
you can
embarrassing?
make it last longer.
Yes. I know.
That's right. I didn't come yet.
Or can't they come multiple times? Like, I know that's probably scientifically impossible, but like, who
But
cares
he's a wolf.
Yeah, it's a wolf. Rebound doesn't matter.
Exactly.
One more fun fact about Hollywood Justin. In college, I spent a weekend day in the dorm with my only goal being to see how many times I could come in a day.
Mhm.
It was 9.
Wow.
I don't know if that's off pod, but there you go.
I'm impressed.
I'll tell you, 8 and 9, not fun. They weren't fun.
Wait, I have a question. How well
Pretty dusty.
did you sleep that night, though? You probably slept well.
I don't remember, but I would assume I slept like a little baby.
Where
So
was your
now-
roommate?
yeah.
The door's like, John, I need my book.
They were counting off. They were like, 1, check.
Hollywood, are you in there? Hollywood, we can hear you.
You did major in nutting, though, so this probably was homework.
I also had a single, so there you go.
Oh, yeah.
I was one of
Nice.
those.
Lucky.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty lucky.
I'm surprised then only 9.
I'm surprised you
No,
like left your room.
I'm telling you, by 9, it physically hurts. Like there's no semen. It's just like you're just in it to be like, okay, that counts 9. It's joyless.
See how many times you can crank off to this audiobook.
To that, that
If you can
voice
get to 1.
before my thing
Yeah,
expires from the
the
library.
library.
I think I only have it for 2 more weeks.
Oh, that's plenty of time.
that audiobook loan should come with a disclaimer. Should come with a
Yeah.
warning.
I feel like you have to play a little of the audiobook on the pod. People have to hear this.
I might have to.
I
Yeah.
agree.
I don't know what the law is with that.
I don't know either. I mean, I will. Well, I guess maybe if you're curious, you could go to the Audible page and listen to a sample or something.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
be
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Unless they've like updated it already, but like I doubt they have. And be like, whoa, wow.
I think you can legally put it in because I consider this to be a news show. And so I think we're commenting on like this is a
Fair.
current event that this book is out.
Well, I
Mhm.
think it's also
completely-
fair. It's technically fair use because we're addressing it specifically so much.
That is true. Yeah.
You
So
would
you're
know.
You're
Research.
allowed to use probably like a 20 second snippet.
There you go. So find the most erotic 20 seconds.
With the
And let's
most character
hear.
changes as possible.
With every single there's a lot of sex happening and there's a bunch of characters in the room.
Yeah.
Like
like
a murder
Annabelle.
mystery dinner party.
Yeah.
Oh boy. What a
Well, you
ride.
guys, this was so fun. This was such a delight having you both on, and yeah,
This was fun. I was very nervous. I was like, I don't feel like I know the book well enough, but I actually feel like I know the book enough.
You didn't even
Yes,
need to
you did
read it and you knew
great.
the book. We all knew the book. Well, tell us where we can find On Brand, all of that info,
Aw.
such. Plug yourselves.
Well, thank you so much for having us. This is our second time we've been a guest on a show, so this is so much fun, and we'll never forget it. I mean, I'll never forget the experience of reading this book, and I love you so much. And it's always fun to chat with you, especially about spicy stuff. If you want to hear more John and Marisa, you can listen to On Brand with John and Marissa. It's available wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, wherever. And then if you can see our social media, so that's at On Brand the Pod on Instagram, at On Brand the Podcast, I believe, on TikTok. Is that right, John?
Yep.
So we have like
it'll be one of those two anywhere on social media.
Yes, that's right. So one of those two, and then you can see like clips of our show and check out some more of our stuff there.
Yay!
Yeah, we like
Guys again.
And we love to engage with our fans too. So if there's a brand that you really love, reach out to us on like one of those on Instagram or something and let us know because there's a chance we might do it.
That's right.
Oh, I have some ideas.
Ooh.
As a
I'm
brand
sure-
freak.
I'm sure you do. We'd love to hear them.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
having
This has been
us.
so much fun.
Thank you so much for listening to Too Stupid to Live. If you enjoy this podcast, hey, leave a review on Apple Podcasts. If you didn't enjoy it, why did you listen to the entire thing? Like that, you're still here. Like that's on you. Anyway, if you liked the summary that I wrote of the book, you can check it out on the episode page at tstlpodcast.com. Too Stupid to Live is part of the Frolic Podcast Network. For more podcasts you'll love, visit frolic.media/podcasts. Thank you so much for listening and have a great rest of your day.